So I've been on Facebook Marketplace looking for TJ parts. I need all kinds of stuff for that red Jeep. Well, wouldn't you know it, a moss green pearl coat, I believe, 1997 Wrangler pops up with a 2.5, almost identical to what I've got, just in the correct color formation and everything. The tub mounts are a little shoddy, the frame questionable, but I think it's a better candidate than what I'm working with right now. So I'm going 2.5 hours to go get this Jeep. It's $800. I'm probably going to be able to talk the guy down if I find more rust and whatnot. So, you know, if I can't fix one, why don't I get two that I can't fix? Hey Mom, look what I brought home. Good morning everybody. This is my new to me 1997 Jeep TJ with a 2.5 and a 3-speed terrible automatic transmission. And I bought this thing last night, as I showed you in the video, for $600. This is the moss green pearl coat metallic that I've been looking for, that I wanted for the red Jeep. And I found it, and I had to have it, regardless of a title. So look at me buying sketchy things yet again. Nobody's surprised. So you can see that no top, no doors, pure fun, right? I doubt it. So this is the moss green pearl coat. I love this paint. It really just makes these Jeeps pop. She's rusty, you know, but it's less rusty than the other Jeep. This is a 97 with the 30 RH transmission, which is terrible. It's got 226,000-ish miles on it. Tub mounts are rotted, which I can replace those, but the reason why I bought it is because most of the framework was already done with being patched, and this frame is still decent enough. It doesn't have any rot back here and the real bad sections, all stuff that I can replace. But I want to show you guys real quick. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of ass backwards for this thing. I have a spice top for it, which we're going to put on. And I can throw on some half doors just to keep things out of the weather here. But I want to show you this paint. So look at how scratched up this thing is. This thing was taken through hell and back. This is basically a woods beater. Now, I sat out here last night and I was like, dude, I'm pretty sure I could buff this paint. This might come right back around. But I couldn't find my heavy cut compound, and I still am looking for it this morning, but dude, most of this stuff can be buffed out, and I'll show you why. Even with my like lighter cut compound, you can see on the hood here where I started cutting it, and the paint under there looks incredible. Like, I'm talking like nice mirror finish. And that was with a light cut compound. This tub here had the same problems as the other side. It was like scratched to shit. If I can make that look like that, this thing's worth saving. That stuff is no big deal. The tub mounts, no big deal. They sell all that stuff. They sell the dog legs. Rocker panels themselves look pretty good. Fenders, I can get new fenders. So for $600, that's a good Jeep. It needs a full exhaust, which sucks because that is a lot of money with the stupid catalytic converter and all that bullshit. And I need to find a title for it. So I might have a workaround where I can get a title for it. Not too sure. But yeah. So that being said, I mean, look at that paint on this side that I did buff. That looks freaking awesome. So if I can find my heavy cut compound and cut the other side, this shit'll look brand new. Rust aside, I can fix that. All right, so we have a plan. I really would like to 5-speed swap this thing. I don't know if I can find a full 5-speed everything. I don't know. Not looking forward to this transmission though, because it really just makes the Jeep gutless. This thing really needs a proper like wet sand and buff, but just from this compound alone, I mean, we're saving the paint here. It's got a bunch of chips and stuff, which needs paint correction, but much better. it's shiny now. So maybe I can convince my old lady that this was not a terrible idea to buy this thing. At this point, I think she's just like, whatever, dude. Okay, things have escalated. Trying to put my soft top on here that I had extra that was supposed to go on that Jeep. And I don't have any of the brackets. So I had to order the brackets, order the bolts to go onto here so I can attach my soft top so this does not get rained on. Started to drive it. It did okay. This thing is slower than shit though. And I know that the 2.5s are slow. But this thing is slow. And I'm kind of wondering if it's not because it's missing terribly. The thing, I just had it sitting here idling and it hardly even wanted to idle. And I started poking around, trying to see, what could be wrong. Things are unplugged or whatever. And there's, this is your PCV that routes back to your intake. There's this, maybe this is a vacuum pump or whatever. That's cracked right there. You can see that I just found that. We have that lower part that connects here, right here to the vacuum pump. That has a zip tie over it. So I'm going to go back through here and maybe try to epoxy that sucker first of all, or just plug this guy. I don't know why we need extra vacuum. Doesn't really make any sense. I'm not sure what else that's feeding. I guess there's a couple lines on here. It might be for various things. But yeah, this shit's like literally falling apart in my hands. So a lot of these vacuum lines need redone. I'm going to try to do that real quick and see what else I can find in the process and see if I can make it run any better. Because vacuum leaks will most certainly try to make it die because it will not be running optimal. Soft top is partially on. Still got to wait for those brackets. I did my best to do a tune-up on this thing as far as replacing any broken vacuum lines. And I fixed everything that I can fix, but it's still missing pretty hard. It doesn't sound like it wants to die out now, which is good. But the codes that I'm getting when I did plug in my code scanner were stuff for the O2, which there's a giant exhaust leak at the donut flange right there. And then I think this secondary O2 sensor that's supposed to be reading the non-existent catalytic converter, that is having a problem. I really don't understand why that would run that rough just off of a exhaust being loose. So I don't know. I'm going to have to figure out a way to tighten this exhaust and seal that sucker up because that's kind of pissing me off. I'd like to see if this thing can run smooth, because if it can, I can kind of see if I really can deal with a 3-speed, but as of now, you can't even get up to speed with this damn thing, so it just won't go. And if that is how it is, even after I fix it, no. Okay, so I think I've got the flange gasket finally sealed. There was a couple bolts I found last night on the exhaust manifold that were actually loose. So I tightened those up and then changed out my nuts on the exhaust flange, and I think that's sealed now. So all I have is the dump right under the damn tub. And my WJ over there has a catalytic converter and a muffler and a full rear tailpipe. So I think I'm going to steal all that stuff and put it on this thing, and it'll cost me $0. That's a $200 woods beater. You're going to drive it? Okay. So hopefully, don't drive it into the four-wheeler and turn. So hopefully that stuff all fits onto this thing and that cat is still good, but I'm never going to need that stuff on that Jeep. It doesn't have a title, it's not roadworthy, so there's tons of stuff we could steal from that thing, including the 4.0 if I found a O2 harness, but we'll see. But I'm going to try to make this work for now for $0. Just like that, covered with spiders. I got catalytic converter and a muffler, which I think I'll be able to use, hopefully. Yeah, I don't think it'll be too long. Oh, that's a MagnaFlow. So, shit. You're telling me there's no O2 bung. Great. That was a waste of time. Okay, here's the deal. Somebody replaced the MagnaFlow catalytic converter on the WJ. I cut it off here, cut it off on that end. I saved the tailpipe. We can maybe try to use that if I cobble some other stuff together. That'll save me like literally $500 if I can get this thing to actually work. Problem is, this muffler is way too long. The muffler that came with the green TJ is shorter and works. It should be factory size to go with the exhaust, so no big deal. I got to take this clamp off because we need to drill a hole out and then weld in an O2 bung because there's no O2 bung. So this was doing absolutely nothing, which makes no sense why it was even installed. So gonna take this off here, drill out a hole here if I can clock this right, and weld in an O2 bung end there after I drilled the hole out. Weld this guy up so that's solid. Weld that one up so that's solid. Take the clamps off and figure out the rest of the exhaust system. Well, I think I'm out of welding gas because my weld started to look really shitty, so I had to change up technique here. But that's fully welded in. My dad brought me my bung, so now I can shove an O2 sensor in there, get maybe a proper reading on this bitch, hopefully. If not, that's really gonna suck that I just did all this work for nothing. Yeah, my dumbass mounted this with the plate, the aluminum plate upside down. So I might have to put an aluminum plate on the top here for heat shielding. Other than that, I think it's pretty much ready to go. So right now we're straight piped. So we got that coupling and another one. I'm gonna try to get my exhaust system put on here and weld it up. Make this kind of like a slip joint on there. That way if I have to take this off again, I can take it off here, take this whole piece off as one, and then the tailpipe will be its own separate piece, hopefully. So I'm gonna move this kind of closer than I normally would up in here. That way I've got some room to play a couple inches for my tailpipe. Okay, so I looked at the red TJ and figured out that this pipe was up way higher. And I've been pissing around with this stupid clamp up here. This, the hell is it called? It's a flange clamp. And I couldn't get it right, and this thing was just sagging low. Well, I took the whole thing off again and figured out I could reclock this to get a better seal in the first place. And now it's perfectly in line with where the exhaust is relatively supposed to be. So I need to space this up a little bit so it's not resting on this cross member and kind of get my lines correct. Tack my coupling on and then figure out my rear of the exhaust. I was gonna weld on a through clamp to go through, you bastard, come on. To go through this hole right there, like you're supposed to. But I think I'm just gonna hang an exhaust hanger because it's just going to be too difficult to make this exhaust have to pull one way or the other to get out of that. So I'll just use regular clamps and make this work either way. But really happy that I was able to change the position of that. I'm pretty sure the seal is much better. So yay me. Okay, we've got our WJ tailpipe here that I have cut this piece out, shorten that about 2.5 inches, welded it back on, clocked it where I needed it, and took this pipe and welded this as an extension because my exhaust apparently is 2.25 on the inside, not 2.5. So had another piece welded on there, that guy right there, and I had to knock that guy off. Just get a straight up piece of 2.5 inch outside diameter pipe to tack onto here, and then this will go on the outside of the muffler and clamp to that. I made this with enough room to where I can just unhook it from the exhaust hanger here in the back and remove this whole assembly and then remove that mid pipe in the middle. Everybody got that? Cool. Not going to go over that again. That was a lot. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. I probably spent like 2 hours out here messing with this stuff. I'm not like a super pro fabricator, but for some stuff I have enough patience. I can sit here and mess with it and cut it and tack weld it up and just remeasure and stuff. I'm usually pretty good with that stuff, especially if this is going to save me like $500. I cannot believe a brand new exhaust system from like the Catback is $500 for a 97 TJ. Kind of blows my mind, but shit, I don't even know if this catalytic converter is going to work, so who knows. Might still have to spend money in the end. I'm going to finish welding up this exhaust, get it on there, set in place, and then cut my front piece to go to the down pipe from the flange. Yep. The exhaust is on. All I need to do is weld that coupling right there. But here's what I kind of came up with. Got that pipe in there. And it goes to that pipe with another freaking thing. And my aftermarket cat all the way back to the muffler here. And then that gets clamped, and there's my terrible welds. Goes up to that pipe, and then comes over and around here. I'll probably just cut this off at an angle here. Definitely need another exhaust clamp to raise the exhaust up. I'm not super thrilled about how this is sitting right on that shock boot, but there's no other way to do this. So let's check it out. Oh, way better. Way better. Well, I just tried to weld the coupling on the exhaust, the last piece that I had to actually weld. I ran out of welding gas, so that's why the rear piece didn't stick, which was the last piece I did, and that's why this piece has the world's worst welds, because I just sent it anyways. I need more welding gas, so I'm going to start this thing up and see how many pinhole exhaust leaks that I have throughout this whole thing, and make a mental note of it. We'll figure it out. Oh, need the battery hooked up. Stupid me. Well, I thought I had some exhaust sealant left. I do not. So I'm going to go to the store at some point today, pick some of that stuff up, and I'm just going to goop it around the joints so it hardens up and seals. It usually works pretty good, but for the amount of like little pinholes and stuff and just small like 16th sections in my tubing that is not mating up correctly, it should seal it just fine. So we'll try to do that, and hopefully it works. It should. That damn thing is so loud when I'm running it. I'm starting to think that I have an exhaust manifold leak. That's going to be a pretty large teardown to pull that thing off and reseal it. Oh, that sucks. I already tightened those bolts too. At least they move, so I could get the thing off, but that sucks. It's just, yeah, that donut flange doesn't, it seems to be sealing well, but I really hear just a lot of noise up here that I shouldn't hear. So, I don't know. To ensure this son of a bitch seals, we put a copious amount of different JB welds on the entire exhaust. Went with these two different ones, so we'll see which one works better. Also like 900% sure that our exhaust manifold is leaking, so not gonna be fun pulling that thing off. Got a big box from Rock Auto delivered today. One of my items was an O2 sensor. It's supposed to go in the rear. I'm wondering if this thing is not being so erratic because there's just nothing plugged in. So I'm hoping that this is actually the correct sensor, hoping it fits, and I'm hoping that catalytic converter actually freaking works, but we'll see. I don't know. This thing's got all sorts of weird, wacky problems. Did I order 2 of these or just 1? I should check these. Still wanting to die. Maybe it's got stuck injectors. Might have to replace those. Okay, so we had super erratic idle. It would just hunt back and forth between like 200 RPM to like 1,000. So we either have a fuel injector issue, which would make sense because this thing sat for a long time, had bad fuel in it, or throttle position sensor and the idle air control sensor need replaced, which I already bought. So yank this intake off and we'll start replacing those and see what happens. So intake's pulled off. I just pulled out the throttle position sensor and you can see how nasty that is. And that goes right there. That very well could be our culprit. But again, we're just testing. We're going to replace one sensor at a time here. With this guy, that lines up perfectly. So we'll test that guy and see what happens. Well, that looks a little bit longer, doesn't it? I don't know. We'll find out. New sensors in, it's plugged in. Plug had a little bit of corrosion on it, a little bit of grease on it. Hopefully it makes contact. Let's find out. Let's see what that did. Still stumbling. Okay, throttle position sensor did nothing, so we're going to replace the IAC, which is this guy right here. That controls the amount of airflow through a sensor that goes through your motor. That could be the reason why it's missing, but I doubt it. It's probably the fuel injectors. This could also be the reason why the idle is erratic. That is a very common problem on Jeeps, 4.0s, 4.7s, 5, every motor really is. I've noticed that those are a big deal. Those are a huge problem. Okay, throttle position sensor is replaced. The IAC is now replaced. Let's see what happens here. Please fix the freaking surging idle. Still punching a little bit. Yeah, now it's pegged at $2,000. What the hell? Got a code. It's probably for the O2. Throttle position sensor. So that's not even working. What else do we have pending? No, nothing. I'm about to go on a test drive before it maybe starts to rain again. Not too sure what it's gonna do. This goddamn Jeep's starting to piss me off. There's my ice cold can of soda pop. It's starting to piss me off. Electrical problems really are not fun. I can solve most electrical problems if they're not intermittent, but when they are, it's kind of a pain in the ass to figure out where shit's going. So let me start it up and take it outside, and I bet you it'll die. It's throwing 2 codes now for the TPS. There's got to be a split wire or a ground fault or something stupid in here for that to be doing that. I don't understand that. 2 sensors would be bad. So, okay, I'm back again with new parts. Hopefully this shit fits. I exchanged my TPS sensor, throttle position sensor, and hopefully, well, I'm pretty sure it's the right one. I looked at it before. I brought it home. Resetting the battery here in the ECU. This thing's been unplugged pretty much all day, but I just want to make sure that it's dead before don't you do it, before I plug this back in. Because allegedly, you're supposed to do that with the freaking TPS sensor, which I don't buy. If it's going to start and learn itself, it'll do it when you plug it in. But, open up this thing. Check and make sure that it's the same connector. I'm pretty sure it is. Oh, it even comes with, okay, it comes with an O-ring now, and then screws that I don't need. Are these the same? Yep. Looks good to me. All right, I'm gonna plug it in. Hopefully this fixes our goddamn problem. If not, this shit's gonna really start pissing me off. Apparently it can be a clock spring under the steering wheel. Stupid that would be all in the same circuit, but that can cause issues with your ASD relay and shit like that, so I don't know. Okay, sensor is on. Hook up our battery. Let that marinate for a second, come back to life. ECU should be reset, which means our codes are reset, which means I'm never going to see a check engine light from this catalytic converter not being up to par, but hey, you know what? Whatever. See what she says now. So far, so good, but you never know. All right, switching gears from there because I'm going to have to run into town, so I want to tackle something else to figure out what else I need when I run into town. Okay, everybody got it? Cool. I'm going to pull off the spark plug wires here one at a time and replace the spark plugs, get a good read on them. They should be fine. It's EFI. And then we're going to pull our cap off, replace that. And then we're going to replace our rotor. And yeah, plugs, wires, rotor, cap. Should be a decent tune-up. And then we can see what the hell else is going on with the ignition. Okay, I replaced the coil off camera because that was actually kind of a big pain in the butt. I'm leaving one of the bolts out of the back side and just tighten the shit out of the front bolt because it's a whole assembly you have to pull off. It's really dumb. Got all that stuff replaced. I'm wondering if this idler isn't bad because it's pretty goddamn noisy. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty wobbly too. It's just like, it's making a whirring sound every time it turns. So, O2 sensors are plugged in, the exhaust is relatively sealed up. I don't see much else for a tune-up. I think it's everything I got. Did a full ignition tune-up. Spark plugs, wires, cap, rotor, ignition coil, the idle air control sensor, the throttle position sensor, which actually did work. Let's see if this thing runs any better and stops missing. If it keeps missing, we're going to have to dig into fuel injectors because I'm pretty sure they might be gummed up from running shit gas in here from somebody else. Other than that, maybe the map sensor, but after that point, kind of at a loss there for why it would be missing. But let's fire it up and see what happens. probably runs like shit. Let's fire this guy up, see what happens. Please run better. I'm tired of this damn sensor already. I'm not getting any check engine codes so far, but let's run it for a little bit. That manifold has just enough leak to be loud. Not actually sure why this part did not record, but I ended up replacing the throttle position sensor for the third time, and I went to AutoZone to get a Duralast part, which ended up being the fix for this thing. But I went through 3 different sensors from the other Jeep to a Rock Auto sensor, and the Duralast one ended up being the one that actually fixed it. Now the problem with buying parts store stuff is this engine is a 1997, and I believe the sensor actually ended up being an early 1997, and there's a difference between the early 1997s and the later 1997 sensors. So 1997 Jeeps are kind of a pain in the ass because it's like a one-off thing for the TJ. So just use that for the reference. She's still got a little bit of wonkiness, but it's got to be from that exhaust manifold there. That runs so much nicer though. Our check engine light came back on. What do we got? Just please be for an O2 sensor, something stupid. Yep, good. System 2 lean, bank 1. That means that there's an exhaust leak before that O2 sensor, which is the first one in line. So that's exactly what I predicted. Cool. Aha. So we just got back from the junkyard and scored 2 color-matched moss green pearl doors for $200 a piece. It's a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but honestly, you can't find a set of hard doors, of hard full doors, for less than like $400. It does have an A on it. Good job. So for color match doors, I'm not going to complain about that. We're going to have to buff these things out. There's some residue from their tape, how they tape the doors shut and all that stuff. So we'll have to pull that off and buff the doors after. But honestly, the doors are probably going to be the nicest part of the whole vehicle. So might have to make the rest of the vehicle up to spec with those doors. So here's what we picked up. A little bit of crap there, non-match paint, a little bit of rust starting, but they're color matched, so that's all I care about. Well, it's nighttime now. Try to do these before bed. This one came off, had to heat it up quite a bit. This one got a little bit bent out of shape, and so did the pin here. So, hello kitty cat. That pin needs bent back into shape, but for now I can probably hang these doors. Put a ton of grease on those and hang these. They should be fine. Other than that, yeah, we gotta pound that thing out, and we gotta close this guy up because it's just a huge gap right now. So got some work to do, but I'm gonna hang them so I can clean them up. Okay, I've got one of these doors on, got the strap hooked up. I had to actually get a little crazy with that pin down there. It was giving me a hard time, so it was all bent. Let's see how terribly this lines up. Okay, not super horrible. Door gap is pretty atrocious, honestly. This bow here actually needs to get the hell out of the way. Let's check out the... Ugh, that needs some work. Honestly, not bad. I know this thing's blurry right now, but this is just atrocious. Not bad at all. I'm happy with that. I'll live with that. Okay, I'll use the flash this time and be smart. So I lubed up the door assembly in here. It's pretty stiff. Lubed up down there. Lubed up right down in there also. And now this door, the handle goes a lot freer than it did before. So we can just real easily open and close that, which is cool. Is it gonna show anything? No. So, yeah. The lighting in my garage is terrible. I really need lights to go like up here and over there to shine, because these up here kind of blind everything. So sorry about that. But the door panel gaps are not super awesome, but they're not hitting anywhere, which is cool. So I will take that all day long. Aside from that, let me do the other door. Okay, so I got the door to shut, and it is extremely tight for some weird reason. So I'm thinking maybe, I mean, the pin is obviously out of there. I think maybe we're gonna take that one off and put it on one of my other doors and steal the pin out from this guy. Okay, I got that one off the other door. Unfortunately, I had to heat it up, so it got a little bit of messed up stuff, and this is obviously a blue door, but you might hardly be able to tell the difference by the time I'm done. And I'm gonna paint match that whenever my color match paint gets here anyways, because I need it for holes. I'm gonna pull this guy off real quick. This is nice and loose somehow, so try to swap these out. So that's ugly, but I think I'm at a loss for tonight. The bushing is no longer existing in here, and I need that. The door is not getting properly aligned and it's falling, so I think it's doing it the same for the top one also. It just really does not want to close, and I don't have a whole lot more adjustment on here, so I'm not really sure what to do. Maybe I could loosen these up, kind of suck this door in a little bit more, but the problem is I think the top needs to be tilted like this so it has room. I'm not really sure why it's not closing. So I think I'm gonna order some more bushings and maybe even some more pins. So see what I can find. Okay, that's about as good as I can get it. I mean, it's sort of closed, but it tries to fall every time because these bushings just are non-existent. And I don't know, I won't be able to show it, but it hits on the door striker, and there's no like inward adjustment on the striker or this really, so it's gotta be what it is. But I'm gonna try to clean both of these doors up tonight and get all this residue off. So, more terrible lighting, but passenger side door, remember there was this big old thing down here full of mismatched paint, and up here too. I got all the paint off up here, but down here, all the way up here, well, that's all removed now. Just a shitload of lacquer thinner on a rag and just wipe it off until your arm falls off. But got that all cleared off, and I'm gonna go around the fenders. Somebody tried to paint the fender flares at some point. Boy, that's warped. Holy shit. Somebody tried to paint the fender flares at some point and got overspray everywhere because they didn't mask anything off. So I'm gonna go around and, while I have the lacquer thinner out, clean all that stuff. Door looks better though. I will actually fix that correctly. Looks a lot better. Oh yeah. The other side is gonna take some work. You're crazy. You're a crazy cat. So I just finished putting on my bracket that I ordered with the 2 bolts that go into the roll bar for the soft top. Didn't have this on here, nor the roll bar pads or anything. Sorry, I'm a little bit fried. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm out here working. But I got that all mounted up. I'm going to do the other side now so this frame actually sits up correctly and it should be able to fold. Hopefully this frame is not bent. My red one's frame is really bent, and getting the soft top on and off is kind of a bitch. So I'm going to put this on and kind of move it back and forth, see what happens. And just like that, we have a mostly functional soft top. All this stuff seemed to line up pretty good. Just need to tighten all this stuff down. I need to find the window or the door guards for here because I don't have them, and there's nothing for this door to seal up against, and there's nothing for this side panel to seal up against. So it kind of just, yeah, sits there. So I need those pieces. Not sure what those are called, but I'll have to get them found and ordered, I guess. Never thought in a million years I'd be trying to restore a 97 Jeep TJ. Weird. So weird how times change and what vehicles become kind of precious. Jeep TJs are one of them. They're super cool. And this thing is bitchin'. The color, the tan, the way it rides. Very happy with it. So these were the doors last night that I robbed that bracket from. I just stole the mirror from right there. There's another mirror right there, but it doesn't have the top part. I don't know if I can buy a top part for cheaper. But these mirrors are freaking expensive. So I'm trying to save as much money as I can and do this for real cheap. So let's go install this on the driver door and maybe pull that one off and try to find a topper for it. Driver's side mirror's on. This is like stripped out inside. I can't tighten it up anymore, and it just kind of wants to come out. So I think we're just gonna leave that how it is because it's not coming out. Just the threads are all gummed up. So I don't want to ramrod it in there any further. Screw it up. Let's try to figure out what we're gonna do for the other side, I guess. Okay, we've got both mirrors on now. I broke this one at some point. The glass is messed up a little bit, but it's all right. Make do. These are free. So another free thing that I didn't want to pay for because mirrors at the junkyard are like $100 and people are out of their freaking minds. But OEM quality is a little bit nicer than the aftermarket mirrors. So I'm about home from a very lengthy 5-hour round trip. Basically, that was dumb. So I basically got TJ tub with a title, VIN plates are on it, dash, center console, front seats, rear seats, 2.5 engine, clutch forks, everything, whole firewall, PCM, all that stuff, engine, transmission, transfer case, drive shafts, a soft top, a speaker bar, a light bar, and all the plastics and everything for the engine. $200. Deal of a lifetime. So I can basically take all that stuff, use it for bits and parts for the red TJ and for this green one. And if that motor's in better condition, which I think it is, once we put it all back together, I think that might be a better candidate for this green Jeep. This motor kind of seems tired. I bought a whole kit to redo it, like a nice tune-up on it. We'll see. First things first, fix all my exhaust leaks, and then I guess we got to get all this stuff out of here. Oh, I need more storage. So here we got the Jeep tub. All this stuff can be donor stuff. Slave cylinder, PCM that controls a manual. All the wiring. All this stuff is good still. All of it. Definitely need that for the green one. Engine, gas tank. yeah, a hood. Forgot about the hood. Full dash. You turn the key, once you put a battery to it, turn the key, everything still turns on and stuff. The manual pedals, like literally everything. Transmission, transfer case in there, roll bar, sound bar, like hell yeah. Also with my giant bulk of stuff came these door surrounds. So I don't have to go buy those. And came with a freaking sound bar, so I don't have to buy that. That actually saved me $100 there because I found somebody local that had it, and those two and the sound bar were about $100. So that $200 Jeep is already literally paying for itself. I could part the thing out and probably make $600 or $700. It's ridiculous. So put these on and be able to seal my freaking doors now. This thing's, I don't want to say it. This thing's becoming like a cheap restoration. Pretty happy about that. That's cool. Okay, let's do the other side. Got the soft top mostly secured. Starting to look like something now. Pretty cool. This one was a real big pain in the ass. For some reason, this is just like ridiculously tight, which is pretty common on these soft tops. I mean, they dry out over time. They stop being flexible. This one was real easy to do. But hell yeah. Looking like a pretty cool Jeep now. Actually, honestly, probably looked cooler without the doors and top on, but I digress. So some people are super purists. Gotta have halogen lights. Nope. I like LED lights in everything that I run, and I'll die on that hill. I need to be able to see at night because I have bad vision where, I don't know, pretty much whenever the sun goes down, like I want to go to sleep, or like when I see lights on the road, everything looks bad. I think it's astigmatism in your eyes. Either way, like having regular halogen lights, the color of the bulb, it puts a lot of strain on my eyes, and it's harder for me to see. I'm like squinting and stuff at nighttime. So LEDs and everything I run, or HIDs and everything I run. That's plain and simple. I haven't run halogen since like 2014. So I got some nice LED headlights that were for my Chevy truck. These are the nicer looking ones. They don't look all gaudy with the bullshit rings or the shitty LEDs on them, but here's what we got here. It's like a 2-sectioned housing. I know these are not ideal because it doesn't have a good projector beam in it, but this will make this thing look way better. And these things are freaking bright at night to the point where you can see, but it doesn't blind everybody. And also, I'm pretty sure that Ford started designing their headlights like this in new cars that just have a reflector beam. So, whatever. So I'm doing the absolute worst job at filming things, and I apologize, everybody. Just, I don't have good lighting in here yet, and when I do have good lighting, I usually am not able to work on anything. So, it just be what it do. Oh!
No bubbles are coming out.
Here, set it down. Somewhere. They'll come out. You gotta wait for it to go through. Just gotta pull up the mixture. Is the battery dead? Oh no. Just, yep, every piece comes off. Woo! Please don't break. All right, get you out. This one needs buffed. It got all scratched up from the packaging. Oh, it looks so much nicer though. That looks way better. Before I get too carried away, turn the lights on, see what happens. Yeah, it works. See, it does like the half part, and then when you hit the high beams, the low part comes on, and they're bright. Look the difference. It's really not super glaring. I really like the look of the old halogen bulbs, but I can't see at night. If I could find a decent set like this that looked more factory, I would put those in here, but I can't. Don't know what it is. I think it's maybe my desire to have one of these Jeeps. And when I was a kid, all the kids at school that were like the cool kids, they had TJs. Well, I always wanted one, but obviously at the time I couldn't afford one, and neither could my mom or dad. So I had an XJ that was the world's biggest piece of shit. It was this color, but my dumbass elected to have it repainted instead of replacing the engine, transmission, etc. So eventually that bit me in the ass and the engine blew up. So, and it was just not a great four-wheeling rig. I got stuck everywhere I went. So, but I always loved the TJs and I always wanted one. I just could never afford one. And then cut to 2018 or 19, maybe 17. I had an LJ. I sold that, and I never should have sold that. And then I got that red TJ sitting out there, and now I got the green one. So, childhood trauma creates an obsession. That's probably where serial killers come from. Anyways, moving on. Way better. Hey everybody, Future Riley coming at you here, and I just wanted to explain that I don't really have a sequence to how I film my videos, which is why I'm talking to you from the future. I'm now traveling for work, and things are getting a little bit more hectic while trying to film and wrap up filming. So I don't usually have a specific structure when I'm filming my videos. I just kind of have a bunch of things to do on the Jeep or whatever I'm working on, a Chevelle, and I just try to knock out as much stuff as I can to get the thing back on the road when I'm home. The problem with that is when I'm knocking out all the stuff and I'm filming it, it's not necessarily in the content order per the subject of the video, if that makes sense. So if I'm doing a video on like a revival or something like, or Will It Run and Drive or something like that, sometimes I will film stuff in between then while I'm waiting for other things to come in, like parts or things to dry, like if I'm painting or something. So videos tend to get sort of out of whack, and they kind of jump all over the place a little bit. So I apologize for that. I'm still working on that. I really need to carry around a clipboard or just a note on the video and stick to exactly what I'm doing until the next video comes around. So that way I have a good beginning, opening, and a good closer. So this is my closer for that video from the future after I've already done everything else. That's gonna wrap up this video for the first part of the revival for this Jeep TJ. In the following videos, we're gonna end up doing a bunch of rust repair, and we're gonna end up fully painting this Jeep. So stay tuned for part 2 and part 3 of this full revival. We're basically restoring this 97 Jeep TJ because I think they're cool, but hopefully you guys, can deal with my jumping around on the content a little bit and sort of chaotic filming and whatnot. I'm still working on it. I'm still a novice at this. I'm pretty good in front of the camera. My sequence of jumping around needs to get a little bit more tightened up, and I need to have like a exact schedule for my videos, if you will. So thanks for watching. If you guys really like the Jeep TJ content or Jeep content in general, I'm trying to do more of that stuff. That's really what I grew up with, and that's what I enjoy. So feel free to subscribe, like, and share the video if you guys are also into this stuff. So stick around for part 2 and 3. It's going to get even better.